Hello students, in today's lecture we will discuss next poem which has been prescribed into your syllabus by Punjab School Education Board. The title of the poem is Upagupta and it has been written by Rabindranath Tagore, who is a famous Indian poet. First of all, I would like to give you a brief introduction to the poet. Students, this is image of Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was a Bengali poet, short story writer, song composer, playwright, and painter. Means he also used to write poetry, short stories, songs, plays, and he was also a painter. He introduced new prose and verse forms and the use of colloquial language into Bengali literature, helped introduce Indian culture to the West and vice versa. Means by his writings, he introduced the culture of India to the West and also introduced the Western culture in India and is generally regarded as the outstanding creative artist of early 20th century India. He is also regarded as the outstanding creative artist of 20th century, of early 20th century of India. So he is a great poet of India. Students, now I would like to give you a brief introduction to the poem Upagupta. Upagupta was a disciple of the Buddha. He was a disciple means an apprentice or we can say a student. He was a disciple of the Buddha, and in this poem the poet Rabindranath Tagore is describes a story when one dark night Upagupta was lying asleep on the ground near the city wall of Mathura. Then all of a sudden a woman comes to him, and this is the whole of this poem describes that incident in the life of Upagupta, who was a disciple of Buddha. Let us now discuss the very first stanza of the poem. Upagupta, the disciple of Buddha, lay asleep in the dust by the city wall of Mathura. Lamps were all out, doors were all shut, and stars were all hidden by the murky sky of August. Whose feet were those tinkling with anklets, touching his breast of a sudden? In these lines, the writer is describing the incident when Upagupta, who was a disciple of the Buddha, one day he was lying asleep in the dust. In the dust means on the ground. He was lying asleep on the ground by the city wall of Mathura means near the city wall of Mathura. Mathura is a place. So when Upagupta was lying asleep in the on the ground near the city wall of Mathura, lamps were all out, doors were all shut. It was late night, and so all the lamps, all the lights were uh, had gone out, and doors were all shut, and all the doors were shut. All the doors of the houses were shut. Stars were all hidden by the murky sky of August. It was a dark August night, so there was no stars in the sky. Whose feet were those tinkling with anklets, touching his breast of a sudden? Then all of a sudden, Upagupta, the disciple of Buddha, he was awakened by the sound of anklets, by the tinkling sound of the anklets. It whose feet were those tinkling with anklets, touching his breast of a sudden? In these lines, the poet Rabindranath Tagore asks a question that whose feet were those who touched the chest of Upagupta and with the and there was also a tinkling sound of anklets. Next stanza. He woke up startled, and a light from a woman's lamp fell on his forgiving eyes. He woke up startled. Upagupta woke up startled means confused. He woke up at once and he was confused to see that that a woman had a lamp in her hand, and the light of that lamp fell on Upagupta's forgiving eyes. It was the dancing girl starred with jewels. So it was the tinkling sound was of the anklets of the dancing girl starred with jewels. She was full of jewels. She was wearing jewels. Wearing a pale blue mantle, drunk with the wine of her youth. He saw that it was a dancing girl. She was all decorated. She was decorated with shining jewels. Starred with jewels, matlab she was wearing shining jewels at that time. Wearing a pale blue mantle, drunk with the wine of her youth. She lowered her lamp and saw young face austerely beautiful. The dancing girl had covered herself with the dress. Mantle means gown or dress. She had covered herself with the gown of pale and blue color. She was drunk with the wine of her youth. Means she was drunk with the wine of youth means she was proud of her young age. She lowered her lamp and saw a young face austerely beautiful. The dancing girl bent down. She bent down and lowered her lamp. She saw the young and handsome face of the monk. Austerely beautiful means she saw the young and handsome face of the monk of Upagupta. Forgive me, young ascetic, said the woman. Then she begged. She asked for forgiveness from Upagupta. She asked for the forgiveness. Graciously come to my house. The dusty earth is not a fit bed for you. Then that woman, that dancing girl, invited Upagupta to her house and said to him, graciously come to my house. She requested him to come to her house. She said him, please do me the favor of coming to my house. The dusty earth is not a fit bed for you. She told him that that dusty earth is not a fit bed for Upagupta. So she invited him to her house. So, from our today's discussion, we have come to the point that this story is about Upagupta, who was disciple of Buddha. So, students, today we have discussed some stanzas of the poem Upagupta. Tomorrow we will continue with our next lecture. Thank you. Thank you very much.